Welcome to the Daily Shift. You heard that right. The Daily Shift. The show where we block out the noise and speak truth, train your mind, and help you become the absolute best version of yourself. Leo and Andrew are on their way. You're in the right place. And while you're here, take a breath. We're about to dive in. The show starts in 30 seconds. You ready? Take a deep breath in and breathe it out. Prepare for your shift.
Boom, bop. We are here, and we are talking about how to build a life that you are actually proud of. A life that when you wake up in the morning, you're like, wow, I feel incredible. I'm excited. I know what to do. I'm clear every step of the day, every step of the way. And I'm excited.
I'm excited too, and happy Monday to you guys. Welcome back.
Happy Easter Monday. Happy Easter Monday. It is going to be such a beautiful day, not only on this show, but also every single hour after today. I promise you, it's going to be incredible. You're going to get this energy and this force about you that is just going to last the whole day. And our prayer is the rest of the week, the rest of the year, and the rest of your life.
And the good thing is, if you ever start to feel different than that, you can come back and watch the replay.
Just come back.
Just come back. That's what the Daily Shift is all about. It's addicting.
So, happy Monday, Lori. Hello, Les. Hello, Mary. Hello, Mimi. And everyone else who decides to show up today, hello. It's good to see you. We're going to jump right in. So the idea here is that most people are building a life that they don't even like. They are feeling off about the work they do, about the money they make or lack thereof. And they're not even enjoying the journey, but they don't even see the destination, and they might not even want to get to the destination.
Yeah.
So it creates a mundane, boring life that's they and their families and people around them don't really enjoy. So we're going to fix that today on this beautiful show.
It's such a powerful thing that the environment and the world that we live in can sometimes cause us to get so caught up in just doing whatever it takes to survive. And we're caught up in doing the next thing, making sure that we've got money for the bills or ensuring we have enough to get to the next step. But I've been guilty of this at so many times and junctures throughout the process of not looking and saying, is these actions we're taking actually moving us into the life we want? That's such a powerful thing when you can start to reflect on that. Because when I reflected on that the first few times, the answer was the things I was doing was not getting me into the life that I wanted.
Right.
I was doing the things that got me enough money to survive that month and more stress and more headaches, and enough money to survive the next month and more stress and more headaches. And I'm excited to build a life that you can't wait to wake up to. That's what we've been doing now the last several years together.
Well, there's a big shift happening in the world.
Yeah.
Where people are realizing that they want more depth, more authenticity, more genuine relationships and connections, and enjoying their life more. And that shift is happening right now. And a lot of us have chosen to opt into that season of life where we say, good. Okay, I can go with the hustle culture that was from 2000, I guess 2015 is really when it blew up like crazy, right? Up until 2025. 10 years of hustle culture. Yeah. It's shifting to a culture of alignment and a culture of doing what you are naturally great at and being around people who make you feel good and who bring out the best in you. And then when you show up at work or in your business as the best version of you, you only produce so much more. Yeah. So it's this cycle of alignment that's starting to happen that we opt into, but we see so many people still opt into hustle culture.
Now, something that I think is powerful. It took me years to learn this because I was part of that hustle culture. I was early mornings dialing, late nights dialing, out, quote, chasing the bag, right? And when I moved from chasing to attracting and understanding that on a spiritual level, there's a verse that says, the blessing of the Lord makes rich and adds no sorrow with it. And I wasn't always sure what that verse meant. And another translation I heard said, the blessing of the Lord makes rich without the toil added to it. And I started to think about that because I would find myself, just working, as we used to say, my fingers to the bone, just working, and put in all this work, and you get done with a deal, and you made 1,000, you made 2,000, you sold something, you made 4 or 5, and you're like, finally. And it's that breath of fresh air for a few seconds, and then you're back to the grind. And I noticed some deals, it's like they just flow. Mm-hmm. And I remember going to church with a guy when I was really in the midst of my hustle. And he, about every 6 months, he would come to me and he'd say, can you help me with a deal? And I'd say, sure. And we'd talk about it. He'd go do the deal. And the guy would, no slight to him, he traveled the world. I loved his life. Yeah. But he would barely work. And then he'd come back to me. He'd be like, brother, thank you for helping me out, man. I made $63,000 on that deal. Another 6 months, 12 months go by. He goes, thank you for helping me out. One deal he made $300,000 on.
Crazy.
And I'm sitting there going, what am I doing wrong? Like, I'm working day and night. I didn't get that deal. And it caused me to start questioning and go back to that verse and start digging in and saying, what does that actually mean? How can we walk in alignment to where things actually do flow? Yes, there's hard work. Yes, we have to take action. Yes, there is connections, but there's also flow.
So that's the question that we're answering today with 5 main points that we're going to dive deep into. Same protocol as always. Number 1, have your tea. I just made that up now. So now every show moving forward, we got to get some tea. Next thing is typing it in the chat. It allows us to, number 1, see you guys who's here, but allows you to also get that muscle in your brain to say, okay, I'm going to remember this and I'm going to implement it. And it's our accountability to you to say, hey, I see you on here. Did you implement some of the things that you said you wanted to implement? So, number 1, type it in the chat. Oh, this is long. Stop building what you don't want.
That is deep.
A lot of us build something because we think that we have to, or it was a business model that someone said was a good idea, or, oh, I've been doing it for a couple years already. I just got to keep going. And it's a lie that we're told for so long to go against what we know is to be true, which is if it doesn't feel right, it probably isn't what God called you to do.
Wow.
So you're just going to keep spinning your wheels until you get back into alignment of like, God called me to be here.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
My thoughts are, I never understood the difference between a fear that we all have when we get beyond our comfort zone. right? There is that level of discomfort when you go to do something new. You go to do the new deal. You go to make a new offer. You go to travel somewhere you've never been. And there's like that little bit of internal like discomfort. You know what I mean? Right. So there is that type of discomfort, and that is just humanity. Like that just happens. You push through that, and on the other side, there's always greatness. But then there's like that inner intuition, that feeling that says like, this is not the right place. Like this is not the right thing. And actually, when we started working together, you would look at me and say something often when we talk about something that transformed my perspective on this. Because I was just always like, oh, whatever needs done, I'm doing it. And I would talk to you about something, and you would look at me and you would say, I just don't feel great about this one. And I'm like, me neither, but I never stopped to think about that, right? And I think that is such a powerful thing when you can start to listen to your intuition because it's there for a reason.
Yeah, I think it's a nudge.
Yeah.
It's a nudge saying like, hey, that's not the right way to go.
And you know the difference between that nudge that's not the right way to go versus that discomfort of like, bro, we're getting ready to do something we've never done before. Like there's a little nervousness. You know, you go up on stage to speak if there's a little nervousness. That's not a nudge. That's just a little nervousness. So I think I didn't differentiate the two. I seen them as the same.
So I guess a piece that you guys can take away with this is when it comes to your intuition nudge, what Andrew is saying is sometimes you know you should just keep pushing through because you're going to learn something as you push through. And on the other side, there's a great destination there.
Yeah.
And then some of us are like, hey, my intuition says don't go in that room or don't talk to that person or don't text that person or don't do this, don't do that deal.
Yeah.
And we still do it. And then we get screwed over.
Yep.
It's about understanding which is which feeling is which, discerning which is which.
Discernment. That's a big one.
The question before was, does this lead me closer to my vision? Yes or no? Does it lead me closer to my vision? If yes, you just push through.
Yeah.
And you'll find out at the end of the day what it's going to be.
Yeah.
And now it is, does this serve God? Does this serve God's mission for me? And you ask God, what are you calling me to do? Show me what you're trying to show me.
Yeah.
And it's kind of the same question because I believe if you're fully in tune, your vision is given by God.
Yeah.
So then the same question lies is this leading me closer to you, God? Is this leading me closer to the vision? And if not, then it's typically an intuition thing of like, hey, no.
Yeah.
Go the other direction.
I think that's a great point. And how did you, though, Leo, learn that difference? Because it took me years to learn that difference. But did it come natural for you, or how did that develop?
I think when you're very sensitive to different feelings, different thoughts, different voices, you learn to feel everything.
Yeah.
You know, being back at home with my parents fighting every single day, I would have to pay attention to who's walking up the stairs and who's in the kitchen, or who's in the bathroom and who's here, so I can know when I can go downstairs. So you always pay attention to things. And I get along with a lot of people, but in the sense of people who have been through that, they understand me at a very deep level because we always had to not walk on eggshells, but hear every eggshell and hear who was walking. And I find that those people have a very deep sensitivity to things. Not sensitive, but deep sensitivity.
Yeah. That's very interesting perspective. And something that you'll learn in life and business if you don't already know. And the sooner you can learn it, the better it will serve you.
Yes. So that's number one. Number two, type it in the chat, rhythm over hustle. It took me 4 times to actually write rhythm correctly. So it's RHYTHM, rhythm over hustle. I was walking today on my walk, and it was a nice gratitude stroll. And I started asking, like, God, what are you trying to show me? And as soon as I said that, a school bus came by. And I was like, okay, I'll use that as a sign, school bus. And the plate in front of me was 888. So I was like, okay, cool, sign. It's helping. I took it as helping those people, helping the young people make life easier for them so they can get closer to God. I don't know why that was the message, but it was just the message there. And I started to think about it. In school and right after school, I was put into the world. I was put into entrepreneurship with zero rhythm and zero systems. And so it has taken us 4 or 5 years to now build the systems we have we have now in our morning routine.
Yep.
Financial systems,
Right.
so we never go broke. Legal systems, also team systems, etc.
Yep.
Just a bunch of systems that allow us to now hear God, allow us to sit down and not have to stress of the 50 things we have going on. And I started to think about it. We need to be able to create rhythm in order to live what hustle's trying to make us live.
Explain that.
We hustle so much so we can eventually get to something called freedom. But then it creates a loop around us that puts us in another prison of our own minds or in the business or career that you're in. And then you end up back in a loop of being jailed.
Yeah.
The whole other side now is alignment. If alignment is first, if we are being called to do something greater every single day and learn how to do the things that are more natural to us
Right.
as humans, and we build systems for the hustle stuff, bills,
Yep.
payroll, team, morning, then we can stay in the alignment.
That's good.
Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense. And I think that is a very good thing. If you're an entrepreneur, a young entrepreneur, any entrepreneur, being able to look at that and say, all right, what's the things that I need to build systems around to handle?
Mm-hmm.
You just described delegation and automation in a very simple yet profound way, which is to say, what is the things that I keep repetitively doing that, of course, the bills have to get paid.
Keep passing the pen.
Of course, the things have to be done. There's certain items that must be done, but then how do I hand those off in a way to where I can live my purpose and step into the things that I'm passionate about? Because that's what brings joy in life.
Talking about alignment is very sexy,
Yeah.
right? It's like, oh yeah, go live free and
Yeah.
do the things that you love to do. But it actually is unsustainable unless you have systems.
Mm-hmm.
Because the way we live, yes, we get to enjoy our lives a lot and create out of what is natural to us now. But if we didn't have the systems for all the life stuff,
Yeah.
taxes, right? Pay all those things that people hustle for. If we didn't have the systems for that, we wouldn't be in alignment.
I think that is such a powerful example, though, because what got you to where you are will keep you from where you're trying to go.
Mm-hmm.
And so in the beginning stages of entrepreneurship, you see someone else who's maybe levels ahead and you're like, oh, I'm going to go do what they do. I remember being with some guys who had like 150 rental properties. They was living off the income, and I tried to keep up with them. And years ago, 2015, 2016, I about went broke because they would travel and do things, and I wasn't able to keep up with them,
Right.
because they had already built a foundation of systems that I didn't have. But then there's the hustle game that it's easy to get in. You start building, and then you get in that loop, and it's not always easy to say, okay, I've done the thing. Now let me shift my time to doing what I'm passionate about. And understanding seasons, that's a big shift.
I'll say this for people who maybe are like me, where they hear systems, they're like automations and emails and all these crazy things that have to happen. But a system is just like, pay yourself first.
Pay yourself first. Or my system for when I think of something, write it in my notebook.
Correct.
Add it to my notes, add it to my calendar.
Right. Or seeking first the kingdom of God, going to the Bible first, or meditating first. Those are simple systems. And then there's systems like profit first, right? Financial systems. There's different systems for delegation and team, but we don't have to go into all that. We're just saying, change the frame of mind to rhythm over hustle.
Yeah.
And for all the hustle things that life kicks at us, create systems for them. Pretty good.
I like that.
Number 3, type it in the chat. Ask yourself better questions. The greatest book that you should ever be reading all the time is the Bible. The second greatest book that you should always be reading is yourself.
That's good.
You should be looking in the mirror every single day. And of course, just saying hello, just saying, wow, you look great today. It's going to be an awesome day. But then you should go into your journal and ask yourself the questions. Why do I feel this way today? Who am I becoming today? What is God calling me to do today? because that is studying yourself.
Yeah.
A lot of us will go to different books. Like myself, I went to different books for so many years to find answers, but I never actually went to myself to find an answer.
Yeah.
So that's a change in the frame of mind for where we get our answers from.
But it's hard to do that if you don't have self-confidence, because you don't trust yourself or your answers.
So then it brings us to a position of the moment that you realize what Andrew just said
Yeah.
is a moment your life can change if you decide to just say, I'm tired of not having pure self-confidence.
Yeah.
I'm tired of not loving myself. Let me fix that for 3 months so then I could do all these things.
Because I remember going to myself for answers years ago, and then that little voice is like, but that one deal went sideways, but you made this decision, and that was stupid.
Right. So, okay, this is good. So what we can do then is if we put ourselves back to 5 years ago, 10 years ago, I believe what we would tell ourselves is, hey, sit down and like figure out what the heck is going on with you, right?
What's that loop that's running in your mind? What's that thing that someone else maybe close to you or yourself keeps bringing up? Remember when you lost money on that deal? Remember when you went to that thing and it didn't X? If that is replaying in your mind, you got to replace that with 10 other data points that are success. Yeah, remember when I made that decision and it was the right one? Remember when I done that and it was the right? You have to counteract that negativity in your own brain.
God calls us to love other people and love him. And the very basic idea that you can't love someone else before you love yourself lands very, very true with that.
Yeah.
There was no way I was going to love God because I didn't love myself. It was very difficult for myself in that time.
Yeah.
Because the conversation that I had to have out loud with him was the same conversation that I had with myself, but the conversation I had with myself was very poor and very negative every single day. And thinking about it now, where that relationship with him allows us to build his vision out and allow his promises to be true for us to move every single day just knowing that we're good, right? God's got it.
Yeah. To move from hoping, and trying and desiring to knowing. I think that's where true faith comes in. You don't always know how, but you know. And that is something that goes from what I call head faith to heart faith. It goes from just saying, yeah, I believe it's going to be okay. But inside you're going, I don't know how it's going to work. But then it goes to heart faith and you're going, I know God's got this. Like it doesn't make sense mentally, but I just feel that it's going to be good.
So let me give you 5 questions that you can ask yourself. You can take take a screenshot, but you can write it down for yourself to repeat, but go back to this one or write it down. So question number 1 is, what parts of me have I been hiding to feel accepted when they're actually my superpower?
That's deep.
So what parts of me have I not been showing? What parts of me have been pushing away? But really, those are the things that will change so many lives and help so many people. Number 2, you want to say it?
If I spoke to myself the way that I speak to people I love the most, what would change? This was a big one when you got me to start doing this, because I didn't realize how mean I was to myself.
Yeah. If you talk to your best friend, if you talk to yourself the way you talk to your best friend, how would that be?
Yeah.
And if it's negative, then we don't want you as a best friend.
Right.
Number 3, where did I first learn that I wasn't enough? And is that voice still true today? So we ask ourselves that. Where did that first come from? And very, very likely it's going to come outside of you. Actually, I think 100% of the times it's going to come outside of you.
Absolutely.
We did not learn ourselves through our own inner being that we're not enough.
Yeah.
We actually learn as a kid, like, hey, we're alive with everything. The whole world's
possible.
Ours. Someone eventually told you that you weren't enough in some different language.
Number 4, what have I overcome that I never gave myself credit for? I think that's
really
powerful, because if you start to ask yourself, what is the things you've overcome some crazy challenges. Every one of you listening to this, like if you think back, oh my gosh, like I did that thing. That was crazy. I helped this person. I built this. I started doing this at this. I did some pretty cool stuff. I've helped a lot of people. You start thinking that way in your mind, how that changes your whole perception of yourself.
Wow. Lastly, number 5 is, if I fully believed I was loved by God, how would I show up differently this week? As I'm reading these, I'm thinking them for myself of like, wow, these are really good questions. But the priority is that we just sit down with one of these questions. It's like sitting down with a good meal, or it's like sitting down and watching a good movie.
Yeah.
Right? A lot of us don't actually sit down with a good question and think about that and reflect on that for a period of time.
Yeah.
But imagine this question helps you realize that you have been on the wrong career path, and that today is the day you change that career path. But imagine you never sat down with that question until 4 years later, and then it was 4 years until you realized that was the wrong career path.
Yeah. Well, and so many times I think people, and this is my experience years ago, get so caught up and so bought into a path that it's easier. I'm going to say this, and I think this is going to make sense. We'll break it down if we need to. It's easier to keep going down the wrong path than it is to shift paths. Because if you shift paths, that means you was on the wrong path. In other words, if I've been going down, putting hours of study and work into this path that I do not enjoy for the last 5 years, 10 years, and today I say, you know what? This is my calling. All of that data from everything I've ever did over there, my brain's going to be like, you was stupid. You was on the wrong path that whole time. And so now I'm here trying to go the way that I know is aligned, but I'm dealing with the voices saying, but what about all that? But what about all that? Mm-hmm. And I think that I've seen people trying to leave a W-2 sometimes and step into entrepreneurship, and they know their path. They are not enjoying the path they're on. But it's like, but I went to college, but I spent X dollars. But I invested X time there, but I get X dollars a week. And you start to justify the wrong path in your mind and being totally out of alignment so that you don't have to screw up your whole psychology of everything I've done has been off track for so many months or years. But the moment that dam breaks and you say, you know what, I'm cool. Like that wasn't wasted. It was learning. I'm grateful for everything I've been through because it taught me of where I am today. Everything I learned on that path gives me the fuel to pursue the aligned path. And when we can look at it that way, the freedom that comes with that, the joy that comes with that transforms everything.
That's beautiful. That is reinforced with, of course, the right people.
Yeah.
Because sometimes being by yourself, it's hard.
Yeah.
But when you have good mentors, good friends around you that support you, it's so much easier.
Yeah.
Which leads us to number 4. Type it in the chat. Build with the right people. Now, the whole title here is Build with People Who Reflect the Real You. Type it in the chat, the real you. My prayer for all of you is that you, this year, this month, meet the type of people who help you recognize the truest version of you. The one where you feel so authentic, and it's just like breathing. Yeah. Right? Being just like breathing. You don't have to act. You don't have to put on a certain version of you. These people just pull it out of you. Yeah. Like, tell me about yourself. And they're smiling and they're really wanting to hear that. And you just start speaking your story.
Wow.
And then you get to hear your own voice tell your story in such a beautiful light. And you're like, I kind of like this person.
Yeah.
That is where I want everyone to be. But when you build with those people, all of a sudden you're building something incredible that serves the Most High. Because he wants you in that version of yourself and how you feel with those people.
You know, that's such a gift. And I think that comes back to sometimes you've invested so many years. I did it. I invested so many years with the people who were not that people. And then I had trouble fathoming my life in a world where I was only surrounded by people who truly love, appreciate, and lift me up. And not only do you have trouble perceiving yourself there, sometimes you question if you deserve it because, 92 people in whatever way have told you don't deserve it. You always be this way. You can't do that. Don't listen to that. All of these negative things that are playing in our mind from years or sometimes decades of a belief system that does not serve you.
100%. The people around you should reinforce your calling.
Yeah.
They should say, you're really good at asking great questions. You know that?
Yeah.
And you feel it too. It's not a backhanded thing of like, you ask good questions. I feel like I ask good questions too, and you kind of get some of that from me.
Yeah.
Right? That's a backhanded compliment. Or saying like, you're okay at that. I heard someone say that, it's just very backhanded. But the right people will say, you're incredible at that.
Yeah.
There's something there. You should do something with that. You're an incredible artist.
Yeah.
Like the way you speak on stage is incredible. Though they were looking at you, they were like, wow.
Yeah.
They were captivated by you. And those type of people will absolutely bring the best out of you.
And find those people who will accent that, your successes, your wins, your superpowers, and also be surrounded by those, 2 or 3 people in your life, your really your soulmates. Find those people who are so close that their intent, it's pure, that they want you to succeed, where they have permission to speak not negative things into your life, but things that will help you improve.
So a very bold plug here is I haven't met a single place. I haven't been to a single place that has done it in the way that we've done events now.
So true.
Because we feel it. We felt on how terrible it felt being in places where there's so many people, but you still feel lonely.
Yeah.
Where you're with quote unquote friends, but you still feel lonely. And so our events, I'm telling you, you go to one of the events. If anyone in here has been to one of the events, just put in yes or put in like, I agree that you feel that way at these events. And so next one we do, be there. We have May 12th, 13th.
May 13, 14, 15, 16.
In Louisville, Kentucky.
Yeah.
We have a Truca Thrive event happening in June. But
California.
Somewhere where everybody can go is we have a tribe call that happens every Monday night at 5 p.m. But if you go to truca.com, it's all on there. Everything's on there. It allows you to just hop in and be around good people. We do breakout rooms. And it's really just our gift to you guys for being able to be here and connecting with awesome people. So very bold plug. People say shameless plug. I guess that's the same thing. Shameless plug.
Same thing.
Okay. So that's number 4. Last one, guys, is number 5. Type it in the chat. Feed your soul. So you want to feed your soul and not just your calendar. What does feeding your soul mean? It means doing things that your spirit loves to do and not ever starving that just because you need to hustle.
Yeah.
And this is the same idea of escaping hustle culture that we will drill to the day that we die.
Yeah.
Is that it is alignment over hustle. And we can, what does hustle mean? It means working a lot, working tirelessly.
Working tirelessly, stressing out, working a lot of time and doing things that may or may not be in alignment with your mission.
Exactly. It's not in alignment with your mission. And I think working very hard, if you tie that with alignment, then you have something beautiful there.
It's joyful. It's amazing.
And everyone's highest calling, I could bet, I could be wrong, but I believe that your highest calling is when you put your highest work ethic mixed with your highest calling, you put those two together and you feed your soul every single day.
Yes. And
Now,
I think
go
something there, Leo, that you touched on, and I think this is so powerful as you're feeding your soul, is, what I used to struggle was that balance of like, but I got to go get the work done. I got to get stuff done. But if we are willing to allow our brain to expand, somebody who's making $1 million a month or $1 million a year or $40,000 a year has the same 24 hours in the day.
Right.
And so how do we expand our minds? Because that's the only difference. How do we expand our minds to ensure that we're doing the activities during our work time that not only push us toward our mission, not only are in alignment with our goals, but bring us the revenue we need to meet the needs so we don't have to stress? Because 80% of what I used to do when I was hustling was crap that I didn't need to do. It was stuff that should have been handed off, should have been automated, doing deals that would not make enough money to really make it make sense. But it's because I was working all the time, so I needed something to do. And if I just would have better planned, I probably could have accomplished the same amount in half the time. But I had this, this badge of honor. I'm putting in a 14-hour day. Now, I know some people work very long hours and just legit produce all the time. But I still challenge you to say, I bet you can. Now, some of us are workaholics, so we find a way to cut it down, and then we just add more stuff to do it. But I think it's a powerful thing when you're able to just take care of the needs and be productive and make sure that you're in a place to be comfortable. Maybe not comfortable, but be taken care of. That's going to give you the freedom to ensure every decision is made on alignment and flow and not need to get to the next payday to make sure this month's good.
100%. And honestly, guys, we've been told by a lot of you guys that being on this show feeds your soul, and it feeds ours too, right? Being able to output, because we input a lot. We read the Bible, we read a lot, we talk to different mentors, and outputting is a part of feeding our soul. Just like resting is, just like hanging out with my dog, hanging out with friends, building this business is feeding my soul. So just choose one thing this week that you can do multiple times throughout the week to feed your soul. Journaling, being on this show is one of them. Calling, hanging out with a friend. And really, the one that I really want you guys to do was number 3, which is to ask yourself better questions. Sit down with a question. Sit down with one of those and just say, hey, what if God loved me? What would I do differently?
Yeah.
And it might just put you on a better path.
That's powerful.
So, final reminder is you were not made to build a life that you hate. And being aligned with yourself and being aligned with your values and being aligned with the strongest version of you is what the kingdom wants every single day.
Yeah. Continue to put yourself in positions to improve every day. Take inventory. Is what I'm doing in alignment with where I'm headed? If I keep doing this, in 5 years, am I going to be in the life that I envision? In 1 year, am I going to be doing the things I want? Or am I going to keep repeating the cycle? And sometimes it's hard to be totally honest with ourselves because we're attached to the activity, or we're attached to something that we have put so much focus on. So just detach from it. Act as if you had nothing invested in it, and just ask yourself, am I on the right path? What do I need to change? If I wasn't worried about what anybody was going to say, think, and all bills were paid, everything was good, what would I change and what would I do differently?
You guys are doing a great, fantastic job. Love you guys. We'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place.
Bye for now.
Peace out. Hey, good timing.